Hello there, adventurer. Welcome to me tavern. It's a mess. I hear you're coming for adventure. Well, I must warn you, out in these wildernesses here, out in the wilderness here, we have beasts that roam. But mightiest of all is the Goristro.
Okay, so listen. Honestly, I wanted to do that voice the whole time, but I wouldn't be able to talk tomorrow. That was gonna wreck my throat. Anyway, when you start out, just like any other mini, the base code is the most important step. Now you are not, I repeat not, going to want to use your good brushes for this. Grab an old dry brush that you don't need anymore, keep your paint nice and thin, and just use little stabbing motions to make sure that you get it in all the crevices, because there is a lot of them with this hair. It's going to take more than one coat. Now, Agrax Earthshade in this instance does two things for us. One, it's going to seep down into all the cracks left by the fur, and two, it's going to help smooth the transition from gray to brown that we created. Now on to what is probably the most satisfying part of painting a miniature like this, and that is dry brushing the fur back on. Go in with the exact same base color that you had, and just dry brush up to remove the Agrax Earthshade from everywhere but in the deepest recesses. And now it's time to dry brush on our first highlight for the fur. You can do this either by adding white to the base coat color, or just by grabbing the next brightest color that you have. It's very important to think about where light would be hitting this Goristro. So I went from above. You don't want to highlight the entirety of the creature because then all of the shades would be the same. Obviously, the light is going to hit a little bit more heavy on his gigantic shoulders and a little bit less on the lower back where it curves in. For the final highlight on this Goristro, because I went with gray hair, I did decide to go with pure white. And I'm going to be even more selective about the areas that I dry brush to really drive home the point that the light is coming from above. Now we're going to follow the exact same steps for the brown fur. We're going to dry brush back on the initial base coat, and then I'm going to highlight with a yellow for sort of a blonde fur kind of look. Now we come to the first of many audibles I called in the middle of painting this thing. I decided that rather than have white and gray fur, I wanted to mix in a little bit of blue, just to give it a little bit more interest. Don't be afraid to experiment with colors. Now we approach the second major audible that I called while painting the Goristro, because my first skin tone looked like this. Now, was this necessarily a bad start to a skin tone? No. Was it what I wanted? No. And that's what you have to understand. It is perfectly okay for you to start painting something and decide that you don't like it and go a different direction. It is paint and it will come off, or you can cover it up. Now you can see I started with a much darker purple base coat, and what I'm going to do here is just let you watch me paint the face without a whole lot of interruption, just because I love painting skin tones and I love to watch people paint skin tones. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. If you would like, comment down below and I will do a skin tone tutorial eventually. Now I'm just going to rinse and repeat the process for the hands. Same highlights in the same way, the way that I think the light would hit, and this is where a wet palette really comes in handy. Now, I do have to apologize because I just forgot to record painting his bracelets, braziers, whatever those are, on his arms, and also his rings and the spikes on his back and his horns black. I forgot to record all of that because I'm bad at this. I did, however, remember to record me thinning down some black ink and running it in all of the recesses on his... What a Wonder Woman things. What are these called? Now, starting on the horns, I wanted to do it a little bit different. I went from black fading into white rather than white fading into black. I can't tell you why, I just wanted to see how this would look, so I gave it a try. Start out with black and start out with your darkest brown, and then slowly fade to white as you head up towards the tip of the horns. And now, ladies and gentlemen, tragedy strikes. I had a malfunction with my recording software and so did not fully get the recording of the horns being painted from start to finish. I will leave you with pictures of the finished product. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor and drop a like and share it with other people who like to paint miniatures and perhaps want to learn along with me as I figure out what the heck I'm doing.